He doesn't roar from the heavens. He doesn't demand fear. He simply walks beside you, quietly healing, guiding, and leaving before you even realize who he was. This is Pantheon Mythology, and today we're exploring the question, why is Archangel Raphael so beloved? If you too want to quietly heal and guide, check out Pantheon Apparel, our clothing brand inspired by mythology, legends, and folklore. We ship worldwide and are rated excellent on Trustpilot. Link in the description. Raphael means God heals, and that meaning isn't symbolic or secondary. It defines who he is. His name comes from the Hebrew roots Rapha, to heal, and El, God, and across centuries that name has remained synonymous with restoration and care. Where other archangels are known for strength or revelation, Raphael's presence signifies recovery. He stands not for force or warning, but for renewal of the body, yes, but also of the soul, the spirit, and the space between people. In traditions where heavenly beings are awe-inspiring and sometimes fearsome, Raphael carries a different kind of power, the ability to mend what's been broken without spectacle. That's why part of his name continues to offer comfort. It represents a quiet promise that restoration is possible, and that some messengers arrive not with thunder, but with calm. Whether invoked in prayer, written into talismans, or spoken in moments of need, Raphael's name is more than a title. It's a reminder that divine help can take the form of restoration instead of wrath. Raphael's most intimate story comes from the Book of Tobit, a text included in the Catholic and Orthodox canons. Unlike other angelic appearances that begin with blinding light or booming voices, Raphael arrives without fanfare. He simply appears, taking on the name Azarias, and offers to accompany a young man named Tobias on a journey to collect a debt. No miracles, no declarations, just quiet companionship. But beneath the surface, the journey becomes something else entirely. Along the way, Raphael instructs Tobias to catch a fish from the Tigris River and keep its heart, liver, and gall. These strange details, seemingly mundane, become tools of extraordinary power. With the heart and liver, Tobias is able to drive out a demon, Asmodeus, who has haunted his wife, Sarah, killing 7 of her previous husbands on their wedding nights. With the gall, he cures his father Tobit's blindness, lifting the weight of years of helplessness and sorrow. And yet, even after these miracles, Raphael says nothing of who he is. He lets the journey unfold naturally, guiding only when needed. When everything is healed, the blindness, the curse, the grief, Raphael finally reveals his true identity, one of the 7 angels who stand in the presence of God. Then, just as quietly as he arrived, he departs. What makes this story so powerful is the completeness of the healing. This isn't just about fixing one problem. It's about restoring a family that has been slowly unraveling. Physical illness, spiritual torment, relational breakdown, and generational suffering, all of it addressed without force, without drama. Raphaels' miracle is one of presence, of patience, and knowing exactly when to act. His decision to walk the earth under a false name isn't a trick or deception. It's the point. He could have arrived with radiant wings and divine authority, but instead he chose to look like any other traveller. This disguise changes everything. It means Tobias had to choose to trust him, not because he looked holy, but because he acted with wisdom, kindness, and quiet confidence. It's a reminder that goodness doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it wears ordinary clothes and gives strange instructions about fish guts. By keeping his identity hidden, he removes the fear, expectation, and pressure that usually follow divine encounters. He allows things to unfold freely. People aren't paralyzed by reverence. They're simply given a chance to listen, to learn, and to heal. And when the time finally comes to reveal the truth, it's not for praise. It's to show that the sacred can walk unnoticed, and that some of the greatest miracles happen when we don't know we're in the presence of the divine. Raphael's presence in the world didn't end with the Book of Tobit. Over centuries he became known as a patron of those who needed help in life's most vulnerable moments. Not only the sick, but the healers caring for them. Not only the lost, but also the ones guiding them home. Travellers, matchmakers, nurses, pilgrims, and those seeking peace in everyday encounters all came to associate their needs with Raphael's quiet influence. In the Middle Ages, his presence was especially powerful. Pilgrims would pray to him before setting out, believing he could shield them from harm on long and treacherous roads. His name was invoked during outbreaks of plague, not as a last resort, but as the trusted source of mercy, someone who might listen where others would judge. There's a reason people felt they could reach for Raphael. He didn't tower above them or inspire dread. He wasn't surrounded by fire or thunder. He felt close, approachable. His patronage wasn't abstract or ceremonial. It was practical. He represented the kind of help that people actually needed. Guidance on a journey, comfort during illness, love that might last, a safe return home. That's why he's beloved. Not because he declared his power, but because people kept turning to him, again and again, in the moments when life was fragile, and found a presence that was steady, gentle, and near. Angels are often thought of as gentle guardians, but in much of religious literature they're anything but. They appear as wheels within wheels, covered in eyes, wreathed in flame, with voices that split the sky. These are not figures of comfort. They are instruments of judgment and divine will. Michael is the warrior. When he appears, it's with sword in hand and an enemy to strike down. Gabriel is the herald of ultimate news, a voice that delivers prophecy, upheaval, and sometimes doom. These angels do not simply arrive. They descend. They interrupt. They shatter silence with purpose. Raphael doesn't operate like this. He is the contrast. His strength lies not in spectacle or force, but in subtlety. When others make themselves known in fire and wind, Raphael steps in unnoticed, offers advice, and disappears. His presence is not overwhelming. It's grounding, and that difference matters. Even in the book of Enoch, where he's charged with binding the rebel angel Azazel, Raphael's role is restorative. He isn't there to wage war for glory. He's there to cleanse the earth of corruption, to begin the long work of repairing a world poisoned by broken covenants. His strength is in undoing the damage, not punishing the cause. In a tradition shaped by visions of judgment, armies of heaven, and angels that bring plagues or prophecy, Raphael moves quietly in the opposite direction. He brings no torment, he doesn't burn cities. He binds a demon, heals the sick, and lifts the weight of fear from a woman haunted by death. That's why his role resonates. He proves that divine power isn't always violent, and that mercy doesn't mean weakness. In a pantheon of fearsome messengers, Raphael shows what it means to protect without dominating, to act without demanding, and to heal without spectacle. Raphael's presence isn't just confined to one tradition. He may be closely tied to the Book of Tobit, but echoes of his name and nature appear across Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, each one preserving a different glimpse of the same healing force. In Jewish tradition, the Book of Enoch places him among the angels tasked with confronting the fallout of divine rebellion. After binding Azazel, he is charged with healing the earth itself after the corruption left by the Nephilim. His role isn't to destroy, but to restore what was damaged. In Christianity, his role becomes intimate. He walks alongside people as a travelling companion and protector. Later, the Church would name him one of the archangels and entrust him with patronage over the sick, the travellers, and those seeking guidance. His name is carved into cathedrals, whispered in hospitals, and invoked in quiet prayers for protection. In Islam, he is widely associated with Israfil, the angel who will sound the trumpet on the day of resurrection. Though the Quran does not name Raphael directly, many Islamic scholars have connected the two. Israfil is not a figure of terror, but of divine awakening. His sound doesn't end the world, it brings it back to life. What makes this so powerful is the consistency. Across three major religions that often differ in doctrine and image, Raphael remains clear. He is not feared. He is not destructive. He arrives when something must be repaired, whether that is a broken body, a wounded family, or a world in need of recovery. And even outside formal theology, people still call on him. His name appears in healing rituals, protective charms, and the quiet hopes of people asking for strength. You don't need to know his full story to feel drawn to what he represents. In a divided world, there are very few figures who mean something peaceful to everyone. Raphael is one of them. A name shared across faiths, tied always to the same idea, that there is still a way to be made whole. So then, why is Raphael so beloved? Because in a world that shouts, he listens. Because he heals without asking for thanks. Because he walks beside us, not to be worshipped, but to help us find our way. And because the truest power never needs to prove itself.